What everyone is you pushed out really means is actually everyone is awareness pushed out. So it might make sense that you've been triggered or confused by the everyone is you pushed out phrase, as it implies that or commands that it is something that your 3D human needs to do to figure out things and to be perfect in order for their reality to reflect back to them the way they want. And hence, for your 3D human, which is limited and very much a part of this 3D reality with its own 3D limitations, and as the 3D, we know it is an illusion, it is a reflection, your 3D human with its 3D human mind was probably triggered, confused by what does this really mean? So yes, let's fully clarify this. Everyone is you pushed out. The you in this sentence isn't your 3D human avatar, is not your 3D human listening to this, it's not your 3D human mind, it's not your 3D human subconscious, it's not your 3D human body, it's not your 3D human nervous system. It's the awareness that is aware of this 3D human. It is also known as the I am, God, source, life, spirit, higher self, Tao, whatever you want to call it. But to keep things simple, and to stop making spirituality, or to this point, existence for that matter, more complicated than what it actually is, here we will just refer to it as awareness. Let me introduce ourselves. We are SOManifesting, short for source of manifesting, which is, by the way, the you listening to this video, the awareness listening to this video. And if you like this content, please make sure to subscribe to stay in touch with everything that is manifestation and pointing back to the only truth, that your awareness, that awareness is the way, is the only way, is your way, is your rules. The awareness that is aware of you. Again, awareness is what has created since the very moment you were born. Think about it for a second. Like, unless you have been aware of something or it has been in your field of awareness, it didn't exist. This is not something fancy. Manifestation is not something fancy, new, magical. It has been happening from the very moment that you've been born. But we call it manifestation because for the 3D human, for a split second, it gives them a sense of control, of power. But it was never your 3D human that manifested. It has never been your 3D human, not for a second. It has always been awareness, being aware of things that has created. And that creates in this beautiful 3D reality, in this beautiful illusion, in this dream, by awareness, being aware of things. So you've probably clicked on this video because you're manifesting others, or you have a specific person, or you are trying to grasp the idea around others and yourself in this 3D human experience, right? So what appears as others, as other 3D humans, and I'm using quotation marks here because the first thing you need to remember is that your 3D human, just like anything else in this 3D dimension, is very much as an illusion, which also includes the ideas of others. It's just a hologram. It has no free will. Your 3D human is just another vessel of awareness. Awareness transcends its 3D human form and becomes aware of this 3D human. But this isn't something your 3D human has to do with their mind, with their imagination, with their body. And there's a distinction here. Imagination understood as awareness by Neville Goddard, yes. Imagination understood as something that your mind needs to achieve by visualizing, no. They're two different things, right? And manifestation cannot happen in this 3D dimension with a 3D subconscious or a 3D mind or a 3D thoughts, the intangible nor the intangible, because it was always in the field of awareness that creation happens, or that creation is creating this illusion. It's essentially like the way I sometimes explain it is the painting with its colors doesn't paint itself. It is in a different dimension that the painter creates the painting. So it's the colors in the painting represent your 3D human with the tangible and intangible, with the 3D reality of the tangible and intangible. And it is awareness by being the painter that creates a different painting and can change whatever that painting looks like. And back to the topic of others. The others are just very much another form that awareness, which is your true form, that it's source, that takes shape. From the perspective of your 3D human, there is this illusion or this idea that they are separate from you, that they're not you, but they're at its core they're the same source that is creating your vessel, and their form is just another vessel that awareness is taking shape. So again, back to the sentence, everyone is you pushed out. It's actually so is everyone is awareness pushed out, and not only everyone is awareness pushed out, everything is awareness. So naturally everyone is awareness pushed out, because everything is awareness. Awareness is all. It is the source and the essence of everything. And as the all, then it takes different shapes, it takes different forms. Your 3D human is the vessel, the channel of source of awareness by which awareness experiences a 3D human life. These others are just forms of the same source of awareness that awareness is aware through your 3D human vessel. But they're very much the same source. They're very much the same awareness, just in a different source. And what I really want to clarify here, this doesn't mean that these other 3D human vessels compete with awareness's power, since they're also from the same source. Because there is only one awareness. And that makes it the only power. That is the only power. That it's the only reality. That's the only God. What I also want to clarify is, yes, these other 3D human forms have other points of consciousness in a different reality, but that's none of their business, where they are their only power and they have their own different existence and lives, where they'll be manifesting things for themselves through their awareness. But in this reality, for the 3D human listening to this, for the 3D human that awareness is aware of, you're the only power, you're the only awareness. There aren't competing realities, there aren't coinciding, they're not competing for the power. There's only one power, because think about it, you only are aware of yourself, and you'll only ever be aware of yourself. You're never gonna have evidence or proof that anyone else here is aware of. So as the only awareness, it is you. And another way of thinking about this is, you're the only thinker. You will never have evidence that anyone else is thinking. I don't like to say the only thinker, because it implies that thoughts manifest. But again, 3D thoughts don't have power, don't have free will, they don't manifest. It is the awareness that is aware of your 3D human experience that is always creating. Another clarification here is that I don't want your 3D human to go around life being hyper aware, feeling like that's the way of living. Again, remember, your 3D human is just the vessel, has no power, has no free will. They're just the channel. They're just the channel by which awareness chooses to experience this illusion of separation, these 5 senses. But it is just all awareness, because awareness is all, and just like God. What else did I want to say to you? What does it make your 3D human avatar different to these others? So, of course, there is this 3D human right now here listening to this with its 3D limitations. And the natural question is, well, if I'm awareness and everything is awareness, and I am just a 3D human vessel, wouldn't these others also have the ability to transcend and become awareness and then go against my 3D human avatar? No, that's not possible. That's impossible, because everything is the same source, everything, and there's only one source. So your 3D human main character, your 3D human avatar, doesn't do anything. It is awareness that becomes aware of this 3D human that is constantly creating. So your 3D human doesn't have to compete with other awarenesses, again, because there's this idea of others, this illusion of others is an illusion. It's an illusion of who your true source and your true essence is. And maybe a good way of imagining this for your 3D human mind to understand it or to visualize it a little bit, just as a metaphor or as a visual idea of this. Imagine a world where everything was water, and this water is awareness, is the source. And this water can become moldable and become different forms, like your 3D human, the 3D human listening to this. Your 3D human can always transcend and come back to being water, to being source, to remembering that, not being, but remembering their source, their water. But above the surface, where this 3D form is taking shape as a 3D human, they might see other 3D humans also taking shape. And from the perspective of the 3D human, they'd be like, oh, wait, they're separate from me. But when this 3D human goes back to the remembering that they're the source, that go back to the illusion that, oh, from this perspective, it looks like they're separate above the word there. But if I go back to remembering that I'm source, I see that they're not separate from me, they're actually me. That's what awareness means. And when I say go back, it's not for your 3D human, again, to go back to their body and go back to the source and go within their body and within their imagination and within their mind and within their subconscious and within their healings and within their energy. No, it is awareness that becomes aware of this 3D human as being water that manifests. That is the source. All right? Because I don't want 3D humans, vessels, minds, and bodies mistakenly understanding this as something that happens in the 3D. Again, the 3D reality is very much the illusion, and there's no free will and there's no power in the 3D reality to be creating anything. Awareness is the whole entire body of water, and your 3D human is also a form, but the source and the whole of this awareness. It's not separate, it's not a spark, it's not just a bit of this awareness, it's the whole of it, connected to this awareness by transcending it, or by awareness transcending the 3D human form, and seeing the illusion for what it is. Let me know if you have questions. I'd love you to subscribe and like this video for this content to reach a lot more people. We love you so much.